Hello, I'm Lorianne Lumbee with Soul School, and this is our Mystics and Heretics video podcast. The title of this week's video is Predicting a Red Wave? The inspiration for offering this video this week is that I've had several clients and students reaching out to me, number one, to share a new level of underlying anxiety that they're feeling that may or may not specifically have a name to them yet, but which has been accelerating over the last couple weeks. Some that have reached out to me have explicitly stated that they have very high anxiety over the upcoming midterm elections in the United States, which is Tuesday, November 8th. The purpose of this video is to, number one, assure those that are feeling anxious that their anxiety is justified and that their anxiety is real, and also to provide some helpful steps, helpful tools that might help all of us navigate this time in our, I'll call it cultural evolution. Now, before diving deep into this video, I want to make something very clear. I personally am not anti-red. I am not anti-Republican. In fact, I have great honor and respect for those that I would call traditional Republicans. People who have taken Abraham Lincoln as the inspiration for their political beliefs. People that tend to lean towards fiscal conservancy, that prefer small government, and who like to see freedom among the people in this nation. It's important for us to remember that the birth of the Republican Party was around the topic of slavery, and specifically making slavery in this nation illegal. Freeing those who were enslaved by land barons, plantation owners, etc. I have great honor and respect for traditional Republicans. However, I have grave concerns and appropriate caution around those that might call themselves Republican, but really are moving towards fascism. Those who are driven by hate. Those who are driven by prejudice. Those who are driven by sexism and the want, need, or desire to oppress certain people, specifically women and people of color. I have grave concerns for those people who call themselves Republican because, number one, I don't believe that they embody the values of the traditional Republican Party. Secondly, I see them as dangerous and in many cases moving towards, if not embodying, domestic terrorism. So, for those that are traditional Republicans, I'm with you. I support you. I support your beliefs. And I invite you, out of respect, to offer me the same. We may not agree on some things, but I guarantee if we sat down and had a long conversation about our hopes and dreams for this nation, we would see that we share a lot of common ground. Even though on the surface, many probably assume I'm a bleeding heart liberal, which I'm not really. But I do lean in the direction of life, liberty, and the freedom to enjoy pursuit of happiness for all people in the world. So let's move forward with today's video. Predicting a red wave, ? I've heard in many places, on many platforms, those that have expressed serious concern and even predictions about the outcomes of the November 8th elections. I share those concerns. Living in Wisconsin, in particular, there are a couple people running that one even terrifies me. When I hear an anti-woman, anti-education platform coming out of the mouth of a political candidate, and I see their signs all over town, I have a right to be concerned. There is a very real possibility that the outcome of the November 8th election might go red. There's also a possibility that we might see that wave continue into the 2024 elections. I hope I'm wrong, but let's prepare just in case what we don't want should come to pass. So this is what it looks like. If the outcome of the November 8th election is not what we had hoped for, the first thing we need to do is give ourselves time and space to grieve. Part of that grief might include any or all of the following: shock, disbelief, denial, bargaining. The temptation to say or claim or state that the election was rigged. The temptation to ask for a recount. The grief might bear the face of anger and rage. Anger and rage that might provoke some to protest. The outcome might produce depression, feelings of helplessness, like, why did I even vote? Does my vote even count? And feelings of deep sorrow. Deep sorrow in the sense of, number one, disappointment, number two, sorrow and fear around, what does this mean for our nation? So I want to talk about that piece a little bit. Number one, to go back to the grief piece, number one, it's important to give yourself time and space and room for that grief. And if you're not familiar with the stages of grief, please check out my grief video. And if you need support in moving through those phases of grief, please reach out. Grief counseling is one of the areas of my expertise. Please reach out, request support, ask for a session. Now, moving into the despair and the helplessness over what's happening with our nation. The answer to that is really quite simple. We are living through the very real collapse of an empire. To put it in astrological terms, which I'm not an astrologer, but if I were, I would talk at length about the United States is currently moving through its Pluto return. During the Pluto return, it is common for an empire, a nation, to go through a death and a rebirth, or flat out death. Rome, for example, when it went through its Pluto return, Rome collapsed. The Roman Empire that had previously ruled the vast majority of the so-called civilized world, it collapsed under the weight of its own greed, its own gluttony, its own lust for power, its own desire to control, manipulate, oppress, enslave. An empire based in fear, power, and control cannot stand. It eventually buckles under its own weight. This is exactly what we're seeing in the United States of America. We are moving through our own collapse. It's a collapse that's necessary. It's a collapse that's needed. And the collapse is needed for the sake of rebirth and growth. And to offer some hope in that area, in the midst of this collapse, there is also new life that is seeding, taking root, and growing. When we look closely, when we look beneath the media facade and the loud voices of the vocal minority and the forces that are trying to manipulate our perceptions, when we look beyond all of that, we can see evidence of a new world that is trying to be born. So if Tuesday produces results that we don't want, know, believe, understand that all Red Wave does is hasten that collapse. It's not easy to watch, but it's necessary. And indeed, we will be watching the nation as we have known it burn itself to the ground. Evidence of that burning are increasingly loud voices of fear, of power, of oppression, of hatred, of prejudice, of division, of sexism, of racism, of any other kind of division that pits one American against another. Those are the symptoms of a burning empire. That burning will be evidence in the stock market, in banking, in healthcare, in education, in corporations, and in governance. So strap in and get ready for the ride. As we allow ourselves to be open to a vaster and bigger understanding and perspective on what a red wave might mean, what it might mean beyond our immediate fears, is a larger story at play. So what is our job as the empire burns? The job is simple. Number one, keep yourself safe. I say it in language like go underground. Gather your friends and families close. And when I say go underground, what I mean by that is Don't fight. Don't confront. Don't create conflict. Don't try to argue. Keep yourself safe. The protesting is appropriate and has its time and place. And we can't stop a runaway train. And a runaway train may exactly be what we are on right now. Get off the train and let it crash. Keep yourself safe. Allow yourself time and space to grieve. Gather your friends and family close. Stay in close contact with those who are rooted in love and compassion, and who seek not to divide, but to unify. Gather around you those visionaries and hopeful people and young people that are here to help envision, plant the seeds, and build the foundation of the new world. Because as that old world is burning, while attentions are directed towards that chaos, we can be quietly, silently, even invisibly, doing the work of building the new world. Building the new world will take a whole separate video, but in short, it's living our lives from a place of love and compassion, caring, kindness, forgiveness, understanding. And understanding that the rampant fears that we're seeing out there, the shaking fists of oppression, those that want to demonize women, demonize people of color, who want to manipulate and control policy to take freedoms away. Remembering that that kind of fear, that kind of need to control is coming out of a deeply wounded human being. A person that perhaps has had their freedoms infringed upon, or who has been oppressed in some way. So while we watch that world burn, we can live from a place of love and build our creations out of love and collaboration and cooperation and peace and harmony. Connecting with those of similar vision who want to be a part of building the new. Connecting with them, collaborating with them, cooperating with them, sharing their vision, helping to fulfill that vision. One such resource that is already in place to help us in that connection and collaboration is a new world vision from one of my soul brothers, Jared Dubin, the Beacon Network. The Beacon Network is in the beta stage of its development, and you can please check it out at www.thebeaconnetwork.com. I'm sorry, .org. It's .org. And I will share the link below. But that is one example of new world creations already being born and put in place specifically to help us connect, to help us share our vision of a new world, to help us collaborate and cooperate and build the new world while the old world is burning itself to the ground. So this coming Tuesday, November 8th, midterm elections may very well result in a red wave. I hope not, but it might. If it does, and if it's not your choice for how you would like to see the elections go, give yourself time and space to grieve. Grieve the disappointment. Grieve the awareness of a world that is dying. Allow yourself the space to bargain, to be angry, to be frustrated, to feel disappointed, despairing, sorrowful. Allow yourself the time and space to process the shock and trauma. Create a safe space for yourself. Find a way to live among the chaos and feel safe. Cultivate practices that help you to feel safe. Create boundaries around yourself and your needs that help you to feel safe. Knowing that ultimately safety is an illusion, but we can distance ourselves from violence and hatred, prejudice, and the temptation to further divide. Gather your friends and family close and connect with those who, like you, want to be part of building the new world. Reach out. Reach out for support. Reach out for connection. And if it all just becomes too much, please reach out for personal help. I'm available for one-on-one mentoring and spiritual counseling, and there are a host of others that are waiting for you to reach out for support. Tuesday, we don't know the outcome of the midterm elections, and many are predicting a red wave. Don't let that destroy you. Seek the opportunities that will and will continue to present themselves to you as the old world is hastened in its death, and as we stand back and watch it burn while minding our own business and building our new world. I'm Lorianne Lumbee with Soul School, and this is Mystics and Heretics. If you're interested in more of the services and programs that I offer at Soul School, please check out my website at www.loriannelumbee.com, and please don't hesitate to reach out if you are in need of support as we move through yet another layer of the empire's death. Thank you.